Okay, it's showing me we're live. We must be live. Hi, I'm Ellie Walsh. Welcome to the Bold Team Hangout. Bold, belief, opportunity, lifestyle, and destiny. That's what we come here and we talk about. We have some folks here from our team. This is a portion of our team. And tonight, we have a topic that I think some people are afraid of. So I actually fall in that category, so I'm really glad we're going to talk about this. But first, let me say hello to everybody, let them all introduce themselves. I'm going to be like old-fashioned and start on my left, which means you, Carol.
Hi, Carol Mikowski here from upstate New York, at the other end of the house from Ellie. And I am an online marketer. And yeah, there aren't a lot of people who talk about this topic, and it is one that is of grave interest to me. So let's hear what comes out tonight.
Cool, excellent. Catherine, you are up next.
Hi, this is Catherine Gould from California, and I am a woman entrepreneur for about maybe 5 years, and I love being online, and I love this team, and we always learn new things. So I can't wait for this topic, Kelly, that you're going to talk about today.
Cool, very cool. And Miss Jamie.
Jamie Donnelly, New Jersey, internet mogul. I love Kelly, and she's going to talk about stuff that we don't normally talk about because, well, we're not experts like Kelly is, so we're going to let Kelly take it over tonight.
Cool. And we're going to jump over Kelly for a moment. We're going to go over to Michelle.
Hi, this is Michelle Eves from Mississippi. I have been in and out of network marketing for over 20 years, and I am really, really excited / terrified of the topic tonight, because if Kelly were to look at my books, she would quit the industry altogether. So I am looking forward to learning a lot. So I'm excited. Kelly, you're going to rock it.
Very cool. You see how everybody is about this topic? It's hysterical. And so last and certainly not least, and our speaker topic person tonight is Kelly. So tell us who you are, where you're from, and where we're going with all of this.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So I'm Kelly Tiedemann, and I am living in Western Massachusetts, originally from Jersey. So that's where my roots are. But I do love Western Massachusetts. I have been for the last 20 years doing work in 2 very separate industries. And they really truly come together for me to bring to all of you that are terrified about this topic a skill set that I think is really important and necessary. So for 10 years, I worked as a social worker, and I worked with people who were homeless, people who lost businesses due to economic disasters, women who were applying for microloans so that they could improve their lives, and a number of different positions like that, where I did a lot of budgeting and financial literacy type of education with people. And then somewhere in my professional development, I switched and moved into accounting. And so for 10 years, I've worked as a consulting bookkeeper, QuickBooks trainer, staff accountant, much more in the small business, nonprofit business industry, really helping businesses become more organized, more efficient, and know what the state of their finances are. So my true specialty is working with everyday people who are afraid of money, who don't want to look at it, who know that they need to look at it and are getting ready to make some changes in their life. So tonight I put together 3 general topics that I think are really important for everybody to start off from. And I think that as you hear about these topics, it's really important to take a look at where you're at and how you've been doing, but not to shame or blame or guilt yourself. As we heard, this topic is truly a difficult topic for most people, and it's even taboo, even to talk about it. People think immediately that you're having financial troubles, you're not successful, you're this, you're that, but none of that is actually true. These are just practical skills that are a part of our lives that some of us have developed and some of us haven't, somewhat like running or meditating or any of these other practices that we do. So figure out where you are as I'm talking so that you know how you can grow and improve, but certainly don't judge yourself. Just go with what is good for you. Okay, so let's see, the 3 topics that I want to talk about, and I realize I want to get a little time on because I want to make sure that I'm not going too long. I like this topic and I can talk about it for a long time. So let me start that quick. Okay. All right, so the 3 topics that we are going to talk about tonight are, first, we're going to create a roadmap. A roadmap is somewhat like setting goals. So it's important for us as business owners, as people who want to develop professionally, personally, however, to set goals for ourselves. And this is equally true for our finances, and right down to the details of how we're going to get there, what it looks like, how much we need, how much we want, all of that. So we're going to make a roadmap. That's the first topic we're going to talk about. The second topic that we're going to talk about is establishing a regular practice. I like to say that very formally because it always sounds so formal. But this is, you know, we talk a lot about regular practices in our culture that are healthy for us, like meditating, exercising regularly, healthy diet regularly. Finance management is right in there with those. So a regular practice of your finances and financial management is going to get you to a more healthy place. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like and how it might look for you. And as a home-based business entrepreneur, small business owner, person who's doing it for themselves, making their own money, supporting their lives, maybe working a job while you're doing that, we have a special set of circumstances that we need to be able to work with. And so understanding that in our practice is really important so that it can be successful and not overwhelming and not confusing. I think that a lot of people are afraid of it because it's confusing. So as soon as you put numbers down in front of people or bills or budgets, people kind of go cross-eyed right away. My job is to tell you that you don't have to go cross-eyed, and I can walk you through simple steps that are achievable and that you can do. And the last thing that I'm going to go over with you, so once we create a roadmap and talk about regular practices, I'm going to talk to you about really simple organization tips. Sometimes I call these like tech tips. So things that are useful to make financial management more successful for you. Okay, so if there's a question, I think that somebody will let me know. Is that right? Okay, cool. So please feel free to ask a question if I am unclear. Any question is really good. If I can answer it right now, I will. If I can't, I will let you know, and I will get back to you with an answer. Okay. So first of all, I want to share with you a story that happened over the last year, where I worked with a woman who was in business for herself in the mental health industry and also worked part-time for a local nonprofit organization. And she came as a referral through a friend who apparently had been having a discussion over dinner where she was just absolutely frazzled and felt like how could she be you know, a 50-something-year-old woman and be unsuccessful in her finances and be doing her business and trying to work so hard and make life work, and she wasn't. And so this friend was like, could you help her? And I was like, totally. This is definitely what I can do. And so when I showed up, she was so tight and so angry and just kind of like, hi, I'm going to be nice to you, but I don't really want to be nice to you. And she was kind of like, you know, trying, and eventually she softened up and she was like, it's like showing you my dirty laundry. And I absolutely was like, oh, like, absolutely. You know, she felt vulnerable and she felt scared. And so, you know, I was like, okay, we're just going to talk about simple ways to make this possible and to help you get to a place that you can. So after, you know, a number of sessions and helping her build her business, you know, finance and personal finance strategy and walking her through some of the steps that I'm going to show you tonight, by the time I was done working with her, I would come in the house and she would offer me coffee and she would offer me like lunch, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And somewhere in the middle I'd show up and she would be starting to pull out papers and be like, oh, I forgot to get to this and I forgot to do this. And by the time I was done, I'd show up and she'd have like really clear questions, and had been, you know, done the stuff that I'd talked to her about, and she was just like, this has changed my life. And I was so honored and just surprised and, you know, excited, because I think that each time I work with somebody new and help them get from a place of total confusion and frustration, I'm sometimes nervous if I can, and then they get there, and I'm just like, wow, you are totally amazing. So I believe that everybody can do this, and it's my like total passion and excitement to share it with you. So first, let's talk about building a roadmap. It is absolutely necessary that you build a roadmap. So there are a couple of approaches to this. And if you're really afraid and you really have a hard time with numbers and, you know, am I ever going to make enough? Am I ever going to have enough income? You know, am I ever going to get to where I want to go? You know, that can be the most overwhelming thing. Then I suggest you start with a really creative approach. And Patty Dabrowski, I'm going to mess that name up, Dabrowski, yeah, is a TED Talks person. And she does an amazing job of talking about drawing your dreams. And so I would suggest that you get yourself a scrap piece of white paper and some markers, and on the left side of the paper, draw where you're at with all your passion and all colors and everything you got. So make it like, it's awful and I feel broke and I feel like covered in bills and, you know, I don't feel like I'm ever going to get there. Like, draw that out. And then on the right side of the picture, draw where you want to be. Draw what that looks like. Draw what it feels like. And with all of your passion and all of your energy, like, put it in there. What does that feel like? And then in between, I want to see arrows pointing that are the 3 boldest steps you need to take to get there. And so whether that is like start doing Facebook Live, you know, whatever it is, start to do regular financial management practices, and put those 3 there and look at that every day, every day, every day. Connect with where you're going. So that's the first step, really. I think for most people who are creative types, who are afraid of money, who aren't just naturally picking up money financial techniques, we have to engage our heart and our creativity in this process in order for it to be successful, because otherwise it's not going to be. And so just so you know, I do it. And, you know, it really, I do this regularly, and I have done it for years, and I am always amazed. Sometimes I think I wish I still had that one because I can't believe like what I drew came to be. So that's your creativity roadmap. And once you do that, then I want you to actually sit with the numbers and think of them the same way. They're no different. They're just not pictures. They're just numbers. And so I want you to create 2 budgets. The first budget is your actual budget. What money is coming in right now? What is your income like? And I need to separate this out. So as business owners, we often have our income. Sometimes we have other incomes that are come in, like a W-2 or child support, or perhaps Social Security or a spouse's income or something like that. So this is really just our whole income. So not your business income without your expenses. So this is your business income would be a part of that. Your business budget is a separate budget. Right now we're talking about just your household personal budget. What money do you have coming in? And then on the bottom, what are your expenses going out? And you could include in there, these are my business expenses if that's what you need to do. So what does it look like right now? At the end, are you in a negative? At the end, do you have anything left over? Most of us are on the negative side sometimes for a long part of our lives, and that's okay. That's where you're going to know. That's going to inform you where you need to go. And if you don't know that and you're not looking at it on a regular basis, then it's really hard to develop and open up all of the avenues that you need in order to bring more money in. Okay? So your actual current budget as it is right now. And then you're going to create your future budget. Now this one is the fun one. This is the one you want. This one includes your fancy vacations. It includes the car payment for the new car that you wish you could have. It includes anything that you want to be. Where do you want? Do you want to be saving a lot of money for your retirement? This is where you want to go, so that you can take a look at where your income is now and your expenses, and where you need or want your income to go, so that you could have all these fancy things, your expenses, right? This is your roadmap. If you don't know how to get from where you are to what you want by looking at it and knowing like there is a quantifiable number here that I actually have to get there, then it can be really, I think, limiting for people, or they perhaps don't stay focused on their professional and business goals. Okay, so building the roadmap. Just some tech tips about that. You can do that in a notebook with a calculator. You can do it in Excel if you're an Excel savvy person. But Google, what do I call it sometimes? Household budgets. Google household budget templates, and you will find awesome stuff. So like Kiplinger, magazine Kiplinger.com has awesome budgets that'll help you think about things that you forget, like oh, I have to put $600 worth of tires in my car every so many years, or oh, the brakes are going to go, or my spouse's birthday, or different holidays. There are things throughout the year, so we may know by the back of our hands our regular everyday budget, but we tend to forget things that are outlying, and those are really important for taking a look at really where you're actually at. Okay. This process you should do at least every 6 months, if not more often. Yeah. Just do it again and do it again, because this is your roadmap. If you're on the road, there's no GPS for this right now. Turn left in 20 feet. No, you have to do it to know where you're going, and you have to do it to get better at it. So something that's really important is that budgets move and change, and they should for you. So if you're right now in the negative, you may not be in a year or so from now. or you may, because you make a change, to quit your job and start your business as a whole. But keep doing it, because the more you do it, even on a monthly basis, it'll keep you sharp and it'll keep your imagination engaged so that you know where to go. And I can tell you that I have done this, and I have watched, not too long ago, I had a really full realization that I am actually now at the place where I wanted to be 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, I didn't think that it was actually possible. And so I'm ready to double it again. Let's just keep going, you know. So think in reasonable chunks. I think that it's awesome if you want to be really grandiose, oh, I want to be making, tons and tons of money and have a, giant. That's great. And I also sort of recommend think reasonable steps so that it's not overwhelming. Because if it's overwhelming, you're not going to run, or you're not going to do it. As I was thinking about running, if you're going to learn to run, start small. Don't start with a 10K. Start with, 1 mile at a time. So take it slow and one step at a time. Create your roadmap and follow it, okay, just by knowing what's going on. Okay, the second is, what did I call it? Oh, practice. The formal practice of financial management. Often people say you're not the accountant type, and it's totally true. I think that financial management can be terribly stuffy, and yet it's really necessary. So regular practice, and what that looks like for you might be different than what it looks like for me, and you need to find the right balance for yourself. So for me, I have a weekly practice where I sit down and make my coffee and sit down with my bills and sit down with my notes and my software and take a look at what has happened and what's coming, and if it's the right time, I will do my budget at that time. Take a look at, am I still on track? So this regular practice is somewhat like a cash flow. You want to look at how much money do you expect to be coming in over the next 4 weeks? How much money do you expect to be going out? What bills are coming up? And literally you can look at it on a calendar basis, so that So if you're the person who's bouncing checks, this has to happen. If you're the person who's paying bills late, this has to happen, because bounce checks, late fees, things like that all add up, and you don't have to be doing that, paying them, if you have a regular practice of knowing where you are in your cash flow process. So I have seen some people do it. I do this very often just with a notebook, very old-fashioned. I was taught by my mom years ago to sit down with a notebook, and literally I write out the days and I write out what bills are coming and what cash needs to go out, when it needs to go out, so I know how much free money I have, for the movies or for groceries or whatever. But then my bills are paid on time and everything balances out. And this is very, again, it's a very simple practice, and a lot of people sometimes are like, literally the woman I worked with was like, do I have to do this every week? And I was like, yeah. If you don't know where your money's going and you don't have a pot to just draw on whenever, even then I don't suggest that you do that. Your accountant would be like, whoa, you're spending too much, You really actually want to know how much is going out and how much is coming in. That way you can keep moving in the direction you want to move in. So some people do this in Excel because it does the totals for you. Some people hate Excel and can't even imagine opening it on their computer. I like a notebook because just sort of simple. And then some people do it in accounting software like QuickBooks, and that was the woman I worked with. Is that she really needed to, and I do that for myself as well, but not on a weekly basis. Accounting software is, let's say, the gold star level of financial management practice. And for whether it's FreshBooks or QuickBooks or some other brand of accounting software that you use, it's using an accounting software is going to help you maximize the deductions that you can take for your business. It'll maximize the knowledge you have of your total cash flow. And as a small business owner, I know everybody says this, I don't separate my stuff. I don't separate. It's all the same, and I just keep the receipts, and it's all the same. And really, I don't have a problem with that, right? Lots of accountants, they're much stuffier, and they feel like you need to separate it, and this is really bad. And, you know, keep it, if it's all together, that's fine. Just put it in an accounting software so you can separate it there, and it's really clear. So, yeah. I have a thought that just came to mind. So also, accounting software and having organized financial data is really important for the fear of an audit. You know, all the time we work for ourselves, and a lot of small business people are like, oh my God, I'm just afraid of an audit. Well, if you're just writing off, I spent so much on research, you know, magazines or newspaper articles or whatever, you know. I worked for an artist once, and she would write off her Netflix, her movies, her blah, 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 because this was all inspiration. And I was like, great, you know, you be the person to tell the IRS that, that's cool, you know. And that's an important part of being an entrepreneur, is we write off what we can that supports and runs our business. However, if you don't have that well organized to prove that, that's where the problem is. And whether or not you're at high risk for an audit is not really for me to say, but my job is to help people know that this is how you can be secure if that is the case, you know. So in accounting software, like I was thinking about it the other day, like I went to CVS and I bought some things for the household, and I picked up a finance meeting, and I was like, bingo, like here is, you know, a business expense that's $5. Like, you know, if I'm not careful, that receipt could go to the wayside, and there's that $5 at the end of the day is a part of a business write-off and a legitimate part of it. So I'm not sure, you know, when we set up QuickBooks or an accounting software, you have your chart of accounts, and that aligns with your taxes so that you can claim business expenses. Well, forever I have used QuickBooks to say, okay, my income, you know, here's the money I'm going to make from my business, from my job, from whatever else source. And then I'm like, I have a line item called groceries, a line item called entertainment, a line item called, so it's actually like all my, like my household is my business. And then I have a section that are my business expenses. So at any time, I can just run a report that says, boom, this part of my picture, my financial picture, is my business expense. And so come tax time, I don't have to go back trying to figure it out, trying to add it up, trying to find receipts. I know so many of you are doing it. I've helped you through it. I have no problem sorting receipts and separating them all out and walking through and helping to fold up all the laundry once it's been cleaned. That's great. And you can help yourself by doing this. You know, some people say, well, I don't do it because I don't have that much. And I'm like, well, then just do it once a month. Just once a month, because then you could run, oh, look, in April I spent this much. In May I spent this much. And seeing it on that level is just profound. You will just be so surprised, because all of those Dunkin' Donuts coffees that you got for yourself that you were like mad about because you know you're spending money that, you know, oh, I shouldn't be going out to get this every day, you know, actually maybe doesn't add up as much as, oh, I didn't even realize I was spending quite so much on groceries or quite so much in gas, you know. The amount of consciousness that it brings from a daily practice, a weekly practice, bi-weekly practice is just, you can't compare it. So it's the same as if you're a runner, if you're you know, a meditator or any of these other things, you actually have to do it to see the results, and you have to do it on a regular practice to see the results. So make it really successful for yourself. Make a good cup of coffee, kick everybody out of the kitchen or wherever you're doing it, and do it. And if you need help with setting up your chart of accounts or things like that, I would say model it after your budget. Model it after that, or contact the person that invited you, and I'm sure that there will be more videos and more tutorials on how to set up a budget that, or find a chart of accounts that supports a home-based business or self-employed person. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, so all that being said, I am certainly an advocate for accounting software and the practice of it. I think that it's a really best practice ever for organization and knowing things are in order. And I have to just also acknowledge it costs money and it takes time to learn. So I want to acknowledge the realness of that is really important to acknowledge to yourself, that this doesn't happen immediately unless you're like a super whiz software guru, and some people are. This kind of thing takes time to learn, and YouTube has great QuickBooks videos. QuickBooks itself has really great videos, and you have to organize your thoughts around how does it work for me, because they're going to tell you how to use it, but you have to start to think about how it works for you. So if that means going back to the basics and your notebook and what makes sense for you, then do that. And also, consider the cost. It does cost money. QuickBooks Online, for example, is probably their best platform right now. I think they're moving away from desktop version software. They're really mostly moving to online. That being said, they also have an app that goes with your QuickBooks Online, so you could be at the grocery store and your purchase will pop up, and you could right there be like, oh, CVS, half of that went to medical expenses and half of that went to my business expense. Boom, you're done. Just another reason to be on your device. So. Yeah, and there was another thought I had about that. It also syncs to all of your credit cards and your bank accounts. So you don't have to data entry everything. You just sync it up and it reads all in. And that is really handy. I mean, I've been using QuickBooks for 10 years. That's a totally life-changing thing, how good they've gotten at make that happen. It makes it much faster. It makes doing your data entry on a monthly basis totally possible. So, okay, so pros and cons, right? It's going to give you the best practice you have to do it in a software. Still totally possible to do it by hand in a notebook. Receipts, if you're old school, keep your receipts in an envelope and store them so that you have all your data, your backup, we call that in the industry. And if you're doing it in Excel, that's great as well. I would say print or back up your data that way too, because it's not a cloud unless you have a storage on your computer. It's not safe, right, in case you lose your data. All right, so we've got our roadmap. So starting with our picture, an idea of where we want to go, what our actual budget looks like, what we want our budget to look like. That's the fun part of it. And then our daily practice. How do we get good at this, right? So I want to run 10 miles, but I got to start with half a mile or whatever. So I want to be doing a regular practice on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to make sure that I'm staying on track and that I'm conscious and aware of what my finances look like. And the flip side of it is that it actually is really rewarding. It totally can clear your mind of the stress and I'm not really sure, and feeling unclear about where your money is. I mean, I think that's what I find with most people. They're like, oh, I feel so much better. Like, now I have done this and now I know what it looks like. I think the fear of where we're at, or the fear of not knowing what our situation looks like, or when tax times come, I love it when people are like, oh, tax time is coming. Like, you could build in the confidence that you're like, bring it on, bring me my refund, like, you get do this all year, you're right, as soon as you got all your 1099s, you're ready to go. You'll be the first one with your refund, So there's a really good con, I have to say. I mean, pro for the whole thing. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about are organization, like organize like a pro. I think that the most common experience that I see in working with people from all different business types and financial situations. The struggle is the organization of the data. So as nonlinear type people, as creative people, as movers, as goers, as not accountants, we often aren't linear people. So I go into people's homes or their businesses, and there's like, some of this is over here, but then the other part of it is over there, and there's a pile of it here, and then they show me a box of something else, and I'm like, okay, that's good, it's good, you know where it all is, let's get it together, you know, and it's, you have to start to think, how can I break this down into meaningful, realistic chunks of data, you know? That is going to make your experience more successful if it's a meaningful chunk of data. And it can just be meaningful to you as long as you can translate that at the end of the year. So a lot of times people are like, I can't even make it meaningful for myself. Like, so you want to even take it a little bit more simple. You know, don't make it so complicated for yourself. So here are, let's see, 3 things that I often recommend to people. Well, this isn't one of those, but it just came to mind. When somebody offers you a receipt at a store, nowadays it's like a big thing to be like, do you want a receipt? And it's like, no, because they're going to save the trees, you know. And I totally think it's important to save trees. And also, if you have no way to record your expense or show that you actually spent it, you know, or you're going to forget by the time you get home because you ran 20 other errands, don't say no to your receipt, you know. Save your receipt. So I'm going to tell you 3 ways, like what to do with all those receipts and all the paperwork and the things that get kind of confusing. Then also I just have a couple of places to get some information that I think is helpful. While we're on the receipt topic, there's an app called Digitize Your Receipts. Oh, let me make sure I got that. I have to look really quick. Oh yeah, by Wave, W-A-V-E. Just go to your app store, and it's Digitize Receipts by Wave. And I haven't actually opened that up and looked at it, but I saw it as a recommendation in a industry magazine, and I thought that's pretty cool. So if you're that person that's going to lose your receipts, go check that out. Cool. So organizing like a pro, okay? Let's see. Let me just take a look and get this together. All right. You want 3 locations for your data, not more than that. Okay. When I say data, I mean your bills, your receipts, your checkbooks, your insurance policy documents, things like that. The first spot is your necessary reference type data, stuff that you're going to always have, that's always going to be, you're going to need to find quickly. If you're not the type of person to keep your Social Security cards in a safe deposit box, this might be the place, right? Your Social Security cards, your checkbooks, your insurance policies, things that you don't use all the time, but that when you need them, and you've got to be able to find them. So 1 file, 1 box, you know, whatever it is, your style. So I'm a big fan of, like, Michaels has all those pretty little boxes nowadays, and you can just get a box, put it in, close it. You don't even have to organize it in there, but I know that's the box that I have to go to for those things that I don't ever want to not know where they are, you know, checkbook, insurance policies, you know, I can't think right now off the top of my head if I can, but those really important things that, you know, I love it when people are like, I know it's somewhere in here. Okay, so 1 spot for those important things, okay? The next spot, so next file in the drawer, the next box. You could have yourself a nice little stack of decorative boxes in the corner with all your financial data, and nobody will know except they'll be cute, okay? The second box is your current bills, like your upcoming stuff. So this is the bills you have to pay right now. This is the, you know, soccer sign-up form for your kid that's coming up in a few weeks. This is your subscription to a trade magazine that's going to renew soon. These are your active working documents that you haven't paid yet, that you're going to, when you sit down for your daily practice, you're going to open up the active current box, and there it all is. You'll know, okay, I'm going to take this one out, and We're going to look at what bills have to come up if it's not on auto pay. Even if it is on auto pay, I'd say leave it in there, and when it's about to be paid, take it out and write paid, you know, and move it to the next one. So if there's ever a glitch in your auto pay through your bank or something, at least you know that it's upcoming and you're not going to miss it, right? Because good organizational skills is going to make a good financial manager. Okay. Third box and the last box, this is your past stuff. This is stuff from this current year only. Everything from last year should be put away in a box somewhere for the prior year. This is this current year only of past already paid stuff. This is the stuff you're going to deal with at tax time. This is the stuff that if somebody questions, did you pay it, you're going to go back and say, oh, yeah, right here. Or you'll pull it out and be like, ooh, I didn't write paid on it. I don't know if I paid it, you know. This is the stuff that you are done with for this time period. And, you know, it's up to you how well you organize that inside the box. You could organize it by credit card, by utility bill, by business, one separate. I would suggest perhaps a folder of just your business documents. But even that, it's still at a manageable level if it's all in one spot, not all over the place, right? Because you could pull that one box out and sort it fairly quickly at any time. Okay, so 3 boxes. One box, first one, is your really important stuff. You need to know where it is when you need it, period. Immunization records, that's a good one. Gosh, that one always gets me every time. But where are they? Oh, in the box, you know. All the things I've learned the hard way. Okay. The current bill box. This one actually stays right in my kitchen. So I don't have that mail counter, right? I love it when I walk into houses and there's the mail counter. And it's like all the bills are piled up. I'm like, you know, I get made fun of sometimes for my little fancy boxes. And boom, it's right there. And so I just look in that every week when I'm about to do my stuff, and I know where it is. It's not somewhere else in the house. It's in that box. And then last and not least is your past paid records. And these are going to come in handy at year end when you're about to do your taxes and you want to make sure that everything is in alignment. Okay. Yeah, those are the 3 major things. So your roadmap, your practice, your daily practice, and your organizational skills and practice to make all of that easier. I think that 2 last things that I would add that I think are really important for folks that work for themselves to know. Kiplinger's is one of my favorite websites. Kiplinger's, Kiplingers, Kiplingers.com. They are a very, let's say, consumer, everyday, everybody-friendly website with lots of resources. I love their budget stuff. You know, when I started working with budgets like 20 years ago, we didn't have all this stuff. So now I'm always like, wow, that's so good, you know. And last but not least, if you work for yourself as a business owner and you have estimated business taxes that you have to pay, I think that this is, I should probably get a bumper sticker that says this because I want to tell everybody. And you work for a W-2 job, you can increase the amount of taxes that are taken out of your W-2 job to cover your estimated income taxes from the income you earn for your business. And that is right on the IRS website. And I think that it prevents people from getting to the end of the year where then they're like, oh God, I have all these taxes that I didn't pay all year or I didn't pay enough of all year. So if you work a part-time job or a full-time job and do your business, you can increase your estimated taxes on your W-4 at your job, essentially overpaying your taxes for that job, and that will support the amount of estimated taxes that you will owe at year end. That's I don't know how to put that on a bumper sticker, but if I could. That's really important information, I think. I hate to see people owe taxes. That is never fun for anybody. Taxes should be fun.
That's the biggest bumper sticker I've ever thought of seeing.
I can make like 6 of them, and it could be like really cool. Well, thanks for listening. I hope that you can tell I'm very passionate about it all.
So I'm so not surprised to have you be passionate about it because I've known Kelly for a really long time, and like we were like early 20s, and Kelly'd be like spending Saturday balancing her checkbook. Like who else does that? I'd be like, what? You know? This is awesome because you know what? Like my side of things is like I've gone through like money mindset, like the energy of money, and like don't ever talk to me about actually sitting down and like looking at these numbers. It was actually part of a challenge. It was like a 6-week challenge, and one of the challenges was take everything out and like get through it, you know? And I was like, what's the lesser challenge? Where's the challenge where we meditate on our money? You know, because I didn't, right? That's so me. I didn't want to have to actually look at the financial reality of my money. And I actually don't know. I don't pay attention to what comes in and what goes out. I just got that little card. And I go ching, 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 ching. And if I get a little alert, I go, what? How did that happen, right? What did you do, Kimberly? You know, like, it can't be my fault. You know, so anyway, this is awesome. I'm sure that somebody else is going to jump in and tell you how, and the creative side of it is so awesome too. I started to draw something, and then I started to draw something like a Disney castle, and I was like, oh, I got to stop now. This is going to get too crazy. Thanks, Kelly.
This was great, Kelly. You made it painless, actually. Well, I won't say entirely painless, but pretty much painless. You leave me with a lot of questions, but I heard you say that there will be more information coming down the pike, so I'll hold some of those questions for later on. But yeah, I also saw that TED Talk by that woman whose name is somewhat similar to mine, but even more complicated. So yeah, it was a great TED Talk, and I said I was going to do it at the time. Of course, I didn't, but now you've motivated me to do so. So we'll have to get the drawing pencils out in the paper. So thanks so much. Very, very helpful.
All right, I'm going to jump in here. Awesome, Kelly. I have to say that I actually taught Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace course, so I know my numbers. I don't want to know them, but I know them, unfortunately. So, okay, so Mark, a couple of years ago, Mark had a really good job, and he was making over 6 figures, and we didn't have enough money. I mean, I don't know how. Well, I mean, I know how, but we didn't. And then he lost the job, and now we have substantially less. And so it's hard. I'm in denial. I am in denial. I want to stay hidden from it, and so you help me realize that I can't. I have to. I know what's coming in, and unfortunately, I know what's going out, but I can't run from it anymore. I have to, keep. I like the future budget thing. I like that. I like thinking of it in a different way, and so you gave a lot of great information, and so thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'll say hi. I learned a lot from you, and I've been like not really knowing about my money either. So it just seems so easy the way you've said it. So I plan to do a big budget and figure out where my money's going, because I know it's very important, especially for people that work for themselves. They don't get a regular paycheck that comes in because I don't work anything else but this. So it's very important. So thanks for all the tips.
Whoa. So, you know, I'm laughing because Jamie said, what 20-year-old balances their checkbook? And I did. And I worked in a bank. And I went to, and the bank actually put me to school, through school, and they had all these big plans for me, and I didn't have the same plans. And then I did end up back in a job. I started out billing, and I ended up being the assistant bookkeeper. So I was always good in math, and I think I liked it until after that job. I mean, like, I would go home, and there was like a penny out, you know, and I did these huge bank recs, and I'm talking about, we didn't have software, kids, okay, big books, and running checks through a pile of checks, all right, one-handed, didn't have to look at the calculator, and I would wake up, and you know, a penny, I mean, please, you could write off more than a penny, right? I would wake up in the middle of the night and know where that freaking penny was. Okay, and then I think that was the end of me with that. I think I got the hell out of that job, and my other side came out, which is this very creative side. So, and it's like, I don't seem to join them. I just don't. You know, that's not true. I don't use Quicken. I don't use QuickBooks. I use Quicken, you know, for my own stuff, and I've been using that for years. Carol and I tried to learn QuickBooks once. I thought we were going to kill each other. And the woman who was teaching us, I thought we were going to kill her, all right? So it was just like, what is this crap? Is this a debit? Is this a whatever, okay? So, but, I mean, saying what you're saying, just put it all freaking down, all right? And actually, you can do that. I do use the business version of Quicken. And so you can do it in there, right? I know. But you know, that, I don't know what happened here, you know, other than like Michelle says, you know, or, you know, Jamie, you know, like, I don't really want to know all of that, because sometimes it could depress me, okay? I don't want to be depressed. I want to do that drawing thing, but, you know, like, I want to do it with like pretty flowers and what have you. You know, the other end of it is and you're all saying you know who that person is, so tonight or at some point, if you would come back and type in, we have to actually send you to that page, type in these resources so that people can come back to them. You know, that would be great. Here's what I got about all of this today. So when you talked about do the picture and all, you know, I thought that's visualization. That's why you hit it. As you were drawing these and mapping this out, you are actually mapping it out in your brain, which is why it's so important. And I was thinking about today, you know, how people are like, oh, you know, I don't want to deal with that, you know, or people will say, I'm only making a little bit about money, you know, when I make, you know, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to do this. When I make the big bucks is when I'll do it, you know. And I just realized the mindset is, we're telling money, you overwhelm me. You don't really matter. You scare me, okay, and stay over there, all right, which is kind of freaking dumb, okay, because you want to be bringing that money back in, you know, to you, you know, and so you got to open the door because there's energy there. I'm not saying you don't need to use QuickBooks or whatever the hell, I don't know, but there's an energy going on. Even when, like Kelly is talking about, when you do this, you start to feel relief because you know what the hell is going on. And it's true. If you don't know what's going on, you have this constant back there annoyance level. You just don't admit it. That's all. You just don't admit it's there. As a matter of fact, you're so freaking used to it, you can't even name it sometimes. All right? But it's there. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying. And so it really is about make peace with this money. You know, so one of my things, what I was saying is, if you had a friend and you said to the friend, you don't matter, that person ain't hanging out with you, okay? They're like, well, the hell with you if I don't matter. And kind of that's the same deal with money. If you tell money you don't matter, you know, money's like, okay, bye. You're like, wait, I didn't mean it. So, you know, it really is. This is such an important thing. So I'm really grateful that you brought it to us here. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I appreciate all of your comments and all of your feedback, and I think that in all of the ways that each of you even hear this differently or approach it differently or take something away from it differently is really valuable and important. And oh, I'm getting a little feedback there. That's weird. I have to say I totally agree that I think that it is, you know, Jamie, you talked about it, like the energy of money, and Michelle too, like, you know, there's a whole spiritual side of money, and, you know, just like even meditation, you know, I have to say I'm really bad with especially last names. So Dr. Joe D, who did this meditation talk not too long ago, you know, he really hits on like the scientific practice of doing something regularly, and, you know, that there's a place of once you can be exactly where you're at, that's how you can move forward with it. And I think that the place that, you know, money often is this way high up place, like you said, like when I have it, then I'll do it. Actually, when you have it, you're going to hire somebody to do it, you know. Right. I mean, that's where we all want to be, you know, is like, yeah, my accountant just tells me how much to spend. You know, great, that's cool. But, you know, in the meantime, be your own accountant, be your own, you know, teacher of wealth and finance, and the only really way I think that, you know, in my experience with everyday regular people, especially small business owners, is you have to do it, you have to know it, and that's really empowering, and then it opens up room for creativity. And you're right, whether it's Quicken or QuickBooks or your own notebook, it's just a matter of doing it and being at peace with it, and being able to move with it. If it's, you know, if it's terrible, Michelle, like, you know, that is a part of it right now, and it can change, and that just sending that message out and being with it, like, okay, this is where I'm at right now, you know, and I'm going to get to here, you know, and I'm going to make this shift, you know. Sometimes just being with it makes you aware of, like, oh, actually I could make this little shift right here, and that's important. You know, I think sometimes wanting to save money is something people want to do, and they don't think they can until they get into this practice on a regular basis, and then maybe you see a change in your income, and doing it regular, then you're like, boom, there's the moment to save, you know, here we are. So if you're not doing it regularly, I don't think that you have the awareness of the flow, you know, so we can talk about the flow and the spirit of it all, and I think that's all really important. Our relationship with money exactly is that, Ellie. Like, you're not going to have a relationship with a friend that you don't spend any time with, and so you know, as much as you want to be in business for yourself, make friends with the friends that you want in your business, you know. So, yeah, thanks everybody. And if there is a question or time for a question, I certainly could take a shot at it. It's up to all of you.
We're right coming up on the hour, and we have a meeting together here. So that's the other benefit of this. And so here's the deal, folks. If you've got questions, certainly get back to Kelly, to one of us. Put them in the chat box there, because people will be watching this for the rest of the week now. This stays on replay until like next Monday, and then we switch over to the next one. So put your questions in there, because we'll bring Kelly back just with questions. That would be fabulous, cool. and any of us even. But you know, we can transition here so beautifully, because you're talking about, in essence, utilizing a system and creating a system for your money. You know, and that's what we do here with business. And you're new with us on this team. You know, it's fabulous to have you here with us, because that's what you're doing. You're locking in, and you're using the system that we all use to do your own thing, to bring your own business and your own ideas out into the marketplace. And the beauty of that is we have things in place for us to utilize, okay? And then we have each other, in essence, to utilize. We do that. So, you know, if anybody's interested in what Kelly's doing and what the rest of us are doing, or how do I do that, and how do I get a community that I can mastermind and brainstorm with, get in touch with the person who invited you here, or click that button down here. Ask your questions, and we'll get answers for you one way or the other. All right. If you see something and you need help, whether it's financial or if it's putting your business out into there, there's a bunch of us here who we know a lot. So we'll get answers to you. So click that button or get back to the person who invited you here. Ask your questions. I watch so many people, and they're like afraid. Oh, I don't want to. Ask your questions. Absolutely ask them, whether it's in a chat box like you are here, or to a person, send them a message and ask your questions. Everybody here I'm looking at, I know, is more than willing to help people. So just ask the question. Make it simple.
Yeah.
So we're going to click out of here in a moment, and because we're going onto another hangout, because we are going to mastermind and we are going to brainstorm. So whenever you're ready to go ahead.
You remind me of something that I think is really important. I don't know if I'm getting feedback over there.
No, we hear you.
Okay, good. The system that we're all working with, and the way that we're working together, I have to say, has really helped flip my idea of doing business into sharing my passion with the world and teaching others and creating value for all of you in this way. And so I think that if there's anything I could close this with, is if you don't end up with the passion for financial management that I do, that's not a worry. Just do it. But let your passion for what you do come out this way, and that is, I think, really exciting and important for me, again, as a new person, a part of this team, to share the idea of sharing what I love and just letting you know. So please do ask your questions, and please do let me know, because that's really what I want to bring and give to you. So yeah, so with that, thank you for reminding me of that, of how to say that out loud, Ellie, and for all of you for listening and to this part of what I love doing.
Perfect. I love it.
Good. All right.
Take us out. You're in charge of that button.
All right, I'm out.
Thanks
so much, everybody.